Welcome to the Dental Journeys podcast, brought to you by White Coat Financial. Whether you're a new grad or a seasoned dentist, we're here to share stories of dentists from across Canada, how they got to where they are today, and the strategies that helped them along the way. Plus, we bring in experts from outside of the dental world to share insights on the business and financial side of dentistry, helping you thrive beyond the clinic. Why don't you give me an update on what's been going on since the last time we spoke? Because we spoke a while ago, and we had launched Clear Aligner Advisor. It was up and running, but it's been a long time since we last spoke. So what's going on with the course? What's going on with life? What are you up to these days?
Yeah, man. Quick life update is pretty much, so we're gonna be moving up to New York. House is getting built. The timeline got pushed back to like May, June. We were a little bummed when we found out, but honestly now it's like a good thing just because we can still be here in Austin. We've got, help with the nanny, our routine. So it's like it's a major thing that we don't have to do right now. Which ties directly into like what we're doing with the business and stuff. But yeah, so pretty much right now, I've got essentially two arms of Clear Aligner Advisor. I've got the side where we support individual doctors, and then I've got the side where we support group practices. And so that got off the ground. So I've been doing this individual practitioner since like 2022. And that is in a really good spot in the sense of like, we've got our two programs, we've got, the messaging pretty rock solid. It's a matter of just, being consistent, and I'm understanding and realizing that like I just had to like expand my time horizon. So I was thinking that just because I put on a good webinar, or just because I give a lot of value, that like people are just going to automatically come. But the difference is like a lot of dentists are just not in situations where they are ready for the program. And that is something that has been super powerful for me to just digest, because it's like I've seen the proof. Like pretty much in December, we got a bunch of enrollments, not a bunch, but like we got a handful, more than I was expecting, because I was expecting zero because the previous year that's how many we got. So I just figured it's seasonality. Had no ads running or anything, but we were getting enrollments, and I onboard everybody now. And I always ask, like, how'd you hear about us and all that? And almost everyone said, oh, I've been following you for a year and a half, 2 years. Wasn't in a situation to do aligners, but I just got to practice, or I'm looking to level up, and I knew that I wanted to learn from you. So I'm like, that was like very eye-opening. Because I was like beating myself up about it in the sense of just like, what can I do? Like, what am I not doing? And it's like, it's not that it wasn't a lack. It was just like patience. So yeah. So just being patient with it, still finding new ways to like provide value and whatnot, but it's kind of, it's not necessarily running on its own. Like I'm still very much involved, but it is in a good place to where now it's just a matter of like, consistently tweaking it. We do in person now as well. I had my first in-person event in October. We're doing another one at the end of February. That's the one that Akshay's coming to. So it'll be good. Got 7 of the 10 spots filled right now, so just trying to get the last 3. But yeah, it's a nice way to like, educate the people who want in person instead of online. And then on the group side, I've pretty much packaged up how I support solo docs, and then I make a portal for a group. So let's say you've got 20 offices, Group Edge Dentistry. I will make you guys a portal. All your doctors get logins, and then they get access to the training, and we do unlimited case support for them. So it's essentially like a built-in training and mentorship for the doctors. And it just doesn't really exist. Like there's other solutions like where they will completely outsource the ortho, or, they'll do the treatment setups, but the confidence to sell cases goes directly hand in hand with the ability to understand like what is actually going on. Even if they're not doing every single step. So yeah, man, it's been good in the sense of like interest, I started posting on LinkedIn. Um, Having a blast on LinkedIn. I did not think I would ever be on LinkedIn, A, and then B, I don't know, man. I just think when you make content for Instagram, like making content for LinkedIn is like so easy.
Fair.
It is so easy. And that's why I think I'm enjoying, because I also get to like I get to my messaging is a little bit different because I'm speaking to like C-suite executives, chief dental officers, a little bit more entrepreneurial people. Um, and yeah, man, it's been good. Like I had a post that's gotten like 30,000 impressions, and it's just yeah. And it's a lot of fun. But the coolest part is like like legit leads come through. Like people will DM and like, hey, let's hop on a call. Like I'm super interested to hear about how you support groups. And you start talking to them, they're like, oh yeah, like, I'm a consultant for a group, or I work for Invisalign and I have groups that we need to help. So yeah, it's going well in that regard. And then I'm pairing the growth strategy there is to also go to some of the DSO specific conferences to then kind of layer in that in-person aspect to like get some leads. But yeah, man, that's the focus.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's what's crazy to me is the fact that you're on LinkedIn. Out of all that stuff, like there's so much I want to pick apart as to what you just said, but the LinkedIn makes me crack up because, like me personally, I don't use LinkedIn at all
Mhm.
anymore because my target demographic isn't there. Dentists don't make LinkedIn profiles. It's just not what they do. And now you
No.
just literally went from like selling to dentist and now selling to yeah one C-suite guy or one chief of operations or whatever for like a massive group practice, and they're all on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
You're now
And
selling business to business rather than business to consumer.
yeah, so it's like, the advice from like Hormozy and the Greats is like you just focus on like one business, one avatar. And I've realized I've created a second, but it's I think it's a good move because I've got a solution that can solve a massive gap, and the market and industry is going in that direction. So like the two fastest growing things in dentistry, um, clear liners as a procedure is growing at like a 30% compound annual growth rate over the next 8 years. Um, and DSOs are growing at like a 17% compound annual growth rate.
Mhm.
Um, so being able to teach, the doctors at DSOs how to do aligners is like a pretty nice niche. It's just a matter of, landing some of those groups, which I'm confident can happen. It's just a matter of gaining trust and building relationships. But this is kind of that moment where I feel like if I was still practicing and I was doing this on the side, I wouldn't be able to like give it all the effort it deserves. Like this is like a full-time thing. Like
Probably more than full time.
I was thinking about it in the shower today, and I'm just like, yo, this is why. Like you can't just like come up with these ideas. Like I've got two calls later this week. I'm literally making like pitch decks and like altering it to their practices and like their numbers. And I'm like, how would I be doing this if I was seeing patients? And yeah, it's
It's not possible. Because at the end of the day, like you probably haven't even had a 40-hour work week since you probably stopped practicing dentistry. Because sure, you might clock out of the office, but it's like it's in your head constantly. Like
bro, when I
you're
go to the
always thinking about
sauna,
the
when I
business.
when I when I go to the sauna, I'm getting ideas. When I'm in the cold plunge, I'm getting ideas. Like I'm literally running to my phone, writing stuff down. Yeah, I wake up earlier than I ever have in my life. I yeah, you're right. It's like I don't get me wrong, like I think I lived through a little bit of that 4-hour work week type thing. But that's when I was just like, I think trying to figure out my identity when I stopped practicing and then transitioned to this full time. But now I'm like laser focused. I understand what it takes. And that is almost like that. I'm not gonna say it's like the moat, but like it's kind of like that whole thing where it's like I'm willing to stop practicing dentistry to build this thing. So like if anybody else would like to also go after what I'm going after, like these are the sacrifices that they have to be willing to make. And I just cool. If you're willing to do that, at like let's go. Like there's a lot of people that we can help because I know I can't help everybody,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's just you can't outsource this like grit aspect.
No, and there's just so much that I feel like, especially in the early days, and realistically, if we think about your course, you've had a lot of success, but you're very early, like 3 years in. I always explain a business as a little bit like a baby. A 3-year-old, I don't know, can like, they can't sustain on their own. They can't take care of you. You have to be full time hands on with them. And it's like your business in the early days. Yes, you'll be able to outsource a lot of the stuff that you're doing at a certain point, but not right now. It needs all your time and attention and everything. And it's interesting that you said with the DSOs and getting into that market and breaking into it, and like, sure, maybe not as busy as it is on like the individual dentist side, but it's the same thing as the individual dentist side. People came to you when they had the need. And like,
Mhm.
it's probably going to be this situation where like, if we talk a year from now or 2 years from now, you're going to be like, dude, it's blowing up on the DSO side because people will hit you up when they have a bad quarter. And they're like, oh, all of a sudden people are hitting us up for Invisalign treatments. We need to train our dentists. Most people don't think ahead of the curve. They're going to hit you up when it's reactionary of, oh, our competitor is doing aligner. Now we need aligner treatment because we're losing all these patients. Who's going to train our aligner people? Okay, let's talk to Avi because I've seen this guy's face on LinkedIn every single day for like, 3 years straight. And that's probably what
Yeah. No,
it just takes so
that's
much time. It takes so much time for that to happen. You have to be
that
patient
dude,
and you have bills
that's
in the meantime.
you're right. No, you're right. It's time. And I think that the biggest thing is having the patience, but still being like active and doing the work because the it's not if, it's when. And I think what's, entrepreneurs, anybody who's trying to grow, even dentists, like when I say entrepreneurs, like dentists are in that, like
Yeah.
whether dentists know it or not, like you are an entrepreneur. Like that's just how it is. Right. So for me, it's like wanting that result, but then, and then being willing to take like massive action to get it, but then understanding and realizing like you still have to like kind of wait for it, right? It's like planting, it's the whole thing. You plant a garden, you got to wait. This is what I tell all doctors too for like aligners. It's like you can go, like I can teach you how to do it and then you can go to work on Monday and start talking to patients. They're not all going to say yes, but you've planted the seed and you're going to see him again in 6 months, talk about it again, see him another 6 months, talk about it again. And you just keep farming those and they'll eventually come. And that's what's cool about social media is because the leverage on your time is so much greater. Like the traditional way for me to break into DSO, go to conferences, try to be a speaker, try to get on a stage, dude, that shit takes like 7, 10 years. Like, and even then you have to play a politics game. And I'm a young brown guy. I don't play games like that. Like I'm out here just building my own platform and it's just like cool. Like I've got I'm probably in more dentists pockets than any other like speaker. And I'm not even saying this from an ego standpoint. I'm saying it just because like I am going like very hard on social media and have been on a very niche, like catered to dentists. Um, and I have yet to speak at like a major conference. And I'm not saying like that's my goal, right? But it's just like funny because of the lag that happens. But it's like while this conference happens once a year and hundreds, thousands of dentists, however many go, then it's like then even if you're a speaker, you're hoping that like everyone that's there, like you can't speak to everyone at the conference. So it's like you're just speaking to like, you know, 50, maybe 100, however many people in the room, which is great. But like you have to continue to do that. And so it's like social media is awesome. And this is where I kind of am also wanting, and I'm very much a fan for dentists to make content for your patients. Like imagine if like you do some content, let's say you want to do aligners and it's like, cool. Like if you just started making content addressing like patients' concerns, questions, fears, walk through the process, show the process, do all that. You do that on social media, like it's only a matter of time until your patient, like you're going to start attracting patients because you're going to be like the aligner dentist and they're going to perceive you as the expert. So it's like, this is not rocket science. This is not some new philosophy. It's proven. I mean, you do it as well with, with your page. And so it's like, we've all just got a different message, but our strategies are all the same.
It's that consistency. I don't know if you're a fan of like Andy Frisella, but he um he gives like the perfect analogy for all of this, and it's like it doesn't matter if I'm baking a cake. Like, yes, I need the ingredients, but then a fundamental component of that recipe is the fact that it has to be in the oven for 350 degrees for 20 minutes. If I turn up the heat, I'm gonna ruin the cake. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can't replace time with effort. Like, yes, you have to work hard, but a fundamental part of that equation is time. And I think what with like social media and like creating a course, because I really want to talk to you about creating a course, because there's not a lot of dentists, especially like brown dentists who go, okay, I'm going to go to dental school, I'll go $500,000 into debt, and then I'm going to stop doing the thing that I went to school for. So we definitely need to talk about that, but it's so hard to be like, okay, I'm going to go and make content. There's no guarantee that I'm going to get any income from this. And then I start to get a little bit of success, and then I just have to be patient and
Mm-hmm.
continue to work hard and continue to monitor it and continue to get better, even though I have no results. But it's your results are going to lag behind. You got to put the cake in the oven. It's got to bake for 20, 30 minutes. And then that 20, 30 minutes really is like 4 or 5 years. And then you get to eat the cake. But it's like 4 or 5 years later, if you're lucky.
And
And in
the
the
thing is,
meantime, you got
nobody
bills.
wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that, but it's the truth.
It's just the truth. But that's also what it is with like dentistry. The best I would say best dentists that I know and have are that are clients of mine from a clinical standpoint. They're in their 40s. And it's
Mm,
like it's because 40s and 50s and onwards. And it's just because the compound like you can't replace time. Like you just
no.
can't do it. It's a fundamental equation. And so I think with anyone who's like, let's say I'm a dentist and I want to make content, it's like you have to do that, and no one's gonna look at your views. Your patients aren't gonna come to see you right away. You just have to do it for like 4 or 5 years, and then you'll start to have patients that come through the door, and then you'll be too busy to even help them, and you'll need associates and all these things. But it's so comforting knowing that time is part of the equation, because then you're like, great, I don't like to think of things in this term, but like your competition has to be willing to do it for that long. It's who's going to do it for longer, not who's going
Mhm.
to do it better because one guy's better one day and then the algorithm changes and then they like the other content. Who's consistently going to post or who's consistently going to do the work, and that's who wins. And it's like it's so comforting knowing that, especially in the like content space.
Yeah. And doubling up on that with just docs who are like, creating their practices. Like, this is why I think it's so important to get clear on your vision. Like, the more clear you can get about what you want, the better off you're going to be, because the easier it's going to be to stay consistent. And then, like, I know a lot of dentists, sometimes it's hard to create a vision. They don't know what they want. So I would just say start with what you don't want. Like, cool, you don't want an old practice. You don't want a practice that like people aren't excited to come to. You don't want a practice that like is dark. Like, you want, okay, so cool. So do the opposite. Make sure when you're looking for
Make
places,
sure there's
they've got
windows.
windows, like, you know what I mean? Like, and get down to the nitty gritty of it. Even like, what type of procedures do you want to offer? And this is where I know we were going to chat about, but it's like, you gotta make sure that you are investing in the clinical education that is the most relevant and applicable to you. So, like, if you're still an associate and the practice that you're at doesn't have a scanner, the owner's not on board for aligners, don't take an aligner course. Like, don't. If you have patients that are coming in and a lot of people are not saying yes to your basic treatment, you should probably go take a case acceptance course, right? Maybe it's not clinical, maybe it's actual speaking and stuff. But then for owners, uh, I think the instead of trying to treat every patient, like, identify and get very clear on what type of patient you want to treat and how you want to help them, and then you build from there. So it's like, I really want to treat, working class, patients who are very cognizant of their oral health and they prioritize it and they're looking for a solution. Okay, find that demographic, make sure that your messaging and like your marketing is going to that, make sure you can do procedures that that patient is going to probably need, and cater the experience to that person. And so it's like, and I'm saying this also comparatively to me, of like with this aligner program, like, my vision for this was at the very beginning, I just want to make this accessible to as many dentists as possible. I want to make aligner education accessible to as many dentists as possible, because the norm is that it's not accessible, because orthodontists have purposefully gate kept it. Like I've spoken with many orthodontists and they're like, yeah, we don't want general dentists to know how to do this, because to them, it's just like, that's just how it is. Again, there are plenty of orthodontists that these same orthodontists in the same breath have also then given me credit for what I'm doing, and they are supportive. And they're like, yeah, like if the GP is more confident, they're going to talk about it more. There's going to be more adult ortho cases going on. There's going to be more referrals. Everyone's going to win. And so that's where, for me, it's like now I try to run everything through a filter in the sense of like, is what I'm doing or is what I'm working on getting me one step closer to that goal? So is this piece of content going to help make aligner education more accessible?
Mhm.
And as long as it's like a valuable tip or a valuable piece, like the answer is yes, because it's free. It's going to be blasted out to everybody on the internet. Whoever watches it, hopefully they gain value. And as long as it's one person, it's a win. And so that's like the short form, that's the YouTube, that's, the paid course. That's even this like play, or not even play, but that's like this whole business strategy with DSOs. Because who do DSOs employ? Associates,
Yeah.
right? Most of the time, they'll buy somebody out and then they'll just stuff associates in there. Well, my thing is like, well, how awesome would that be if a DSO pays for the training and support, so the associate incurs zero cost and all the upside? They get the benefit of the training and the income and the satisfaction to be able to help patients. And it's like, for me, it's I'm playing like a different game, and I'm playing like much bigger. Like I'm not trying to like silo to one brand or, you know, only people who make a lot of money. Like it's very much like I'm trying to find ways to cater to everyone. Like if you can't afford the course, watch the free stuff online. When you're ready for a course, get in. If you can't do that and you're at a DSO, like now there's a solution. So yeah, that's how
And
this thing
what
is.
better way to make it more accessible than, instead of trying to create content and sell courses to individual associates and sell to 50 associates, when you could sell to one DSO and by like extension sell to 100 associates, and 100
Mm-hmm.
associates now have access to it where they maybe didn't want to pay for it. And like, if I'm being frank, I think one of the biggest benefits of being at a DSO as an associate is the fact that they provide so much training. Like here in Canada, we really have two big ones, like 123 and Dental Corp. And my
Mm-hmm.
clients that work there, they love working there. Like one of the main reasons that they love working there is the fact that they pay for so much CE and they give you so much CE. And they're like, I'm learning so much while I'm here and I'm getting to see so many patients. So you're helping to just become part of that conversation of like, okay, instead
Yeah.
of selling to 100 different associates, why don't I just sell to one DSO, and now 100 or 200 or 300 different associates get access to my content? So like, yeah, you really are living what you're saying. And you said one thing about like, I don't know if someone can afford to take a course for like aligners. I'm gonna say right now, because you're not allowed to say it, they can't like not afford to go to the course. I am an investment guy and a money guy, and I could tell you right now, there's no stock, there's no anything I could put your money in that's going to get you a more predictable, risk adjusted rate of return than a CE course. Like it doesn't exist. Like we're recording this episode today, Nvidia just hit the crapper. The AI model just came out in China, and they just destroyed Nvidia stock, and now Nvidia is the hottest company in 2024. Now people are wondering if there's too many supply, like too many chips out there. It's like that can happen to your portfolio overnight. Whereas if you take an aligner course or an extraction course or an implant course or whatever type of course, no one can take that away from you once you know it. And you're like, now I can make money on this one skill for the next 20 or 30 years and increase my production by 20% for 20 or 30, whatever that number is. It's like, you're not allowed to say it because like everyone's gonna be like, oh, this guy's selling a course and that's just what he's saying. I tell clients, before you start investing with me, I want you to take CE as soon as you can, fresh out of school. Because dental school doesn't teach you enough. You need to take CE, and you need to take CE that you want to do, or the types of treatments that you want to do, which like I think is
That
such
you
a big
want
opportunity.
to and that you can, in the sense of like an implementation standpoint, right? It's like, don't take an aligner course if majority of the patients in the practice are like edentulous. Like that shouldn't be the first thing. It should be an extraction and an implant course, right? So it's like you got to look at the demographic. But yeah, and then I think the next level to that is like, if you're in a practice, like let's say you want to take CE and you're in a practice and it doesn't actually facilitate your learning, move, change, go to somewhere else. Like I've worked 11 associateships over the course of my career, which is a massive number. Some dentists are like, yeah, me too. Other dentists are like, what? Like that's crazy. But understand that if you are not learning or earning, it is time to move on if you're an associate. Um, as a practice owner, uh, there's other ways. Like if you're not learning or earning, like there's definitely other ways. Like you can't just necessarily leave the practice. I think maybe at that point you probably got to put on your CEO hat and get some business, some business education.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you're a younger doc coming out, you need to be learning or earning, and if you're not, then the writing is on the wall because the only person that's going to actually be able to help you and get you out of that situation is yourself.
100%. And I think people should be taking CE like maybe not fresh out of school. I understand. Let's say I graduate today. It's like, man, I got 300 or 400 grand in student loans. I need to start practicing. I'm just doing bread and butter resto work. I'm just getting comfortable with that. But I think like after your first 6 to 12 months, after you getting a little bit more comfortable, CE is like the first thing that people should be taking. And I like the fact that you're talking about how people should take CE that they're interested in and that they can actually implement. Because we've all heard of dentists, and I've seen dentists do it. They'll take a million courses and they don't actually implement any of it. So it's like take the courses that you know that you're actually going to be able to do right away. And
Yeah. And
all
look,
that.
I respect, I have the utmost respect for the COIS program. However, I think a lot of dentists take it for the wrong reasons. And I'm saying that because I think there a lot of people get caught up in the hype of COIS, but they don't look at their practice. They don't look at their situation. And then even if their situation isn't in a good like if their situation isn't conducive to implementing like COIS protocols and all that, they're not actually willing to do the work to change it. And so again, this comes back to what I said. It's on you as the practitioner. So it's like it just always blows my mind, man. Because like the biggest thing when I'll talk to dentists who are interested in the program, and some people be like, yeah, I'm still paying off COIS, like I can't get in, or I'm still paying off this implant training, and I'm just like, how are you still paying this off? Like I know it's not cheap, but like it's what 10 grand or something. So it's like, okay, why haven't you done a full mouth rehab yet? That's what you learned to do. Why haven't you closed like that's like one full mouth rehab, maybe two, and it's just like you got to look yourself in the mirror. Like just taking another CE course is not going to get you to the next level. It's there's work involved, and what the course does is it gives you the framework and the understanding to do it, or the knowledge, but like you actually have to go apply it. And so whoever needed to hear that, like I hope that's a wake up call. um it's as much as we all would like a magic bullet, at the end of the day, it's all on us. Like no one's coming to save you.
Yeah. And with those courses, like I get it because I have clients who, they're paying off a course 6 months later and I ask a similar question like, oh, like, have you started implementing this stuff into your practice? And I get some of my clients are like, hey, man, I just don't have the patience, or my principals, doing a lot of these treatments themselves, and I'm doing maybe the easier, quote unquote, easier cases, and I'll slowly build up. But yeah, you usually are able to pay it off. Now, again, I don't know the tax laws down in the States, but like it's deductible. So it's like, why wouldn't you take CE courses? And like, why wouldn't you actually implement them? But I do think people take the wrong courses. They'll take a course because like, I don't know, their friend takes it. And like, I don't know, out of even your courses, who ends up taking them? Is it word of mouth? Is it because they've been watching you online? Like, who's not a right fit for certain courses? And like, what should you watch out for when you're actually applying to take CE? Because you shouldn't just
Yeah.
blindly be doing CE.
Yeah, and again, to clarify, right? It's timing. It's not that the course is not a good course, it's timing. Where are you at in your career and what is this course going to deliver for you? And I genuinely believe like you got to measure the ROI. I know you already talked about it. Like it is the best, investment that you can make at the right time. So like in terms of, how do people hear about my program? Primarily it's social media. Now there is word of mouth is starting to kick in. But it is definitely still primarily social media and it's people who have been following me for a while. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm also just going back to when I took courses. Like when I took an implant course, First of all, no one was like posting on social media back then. It was just like if you're a dentist posting on social media back then, it was just like veneer cases. Like there was nothing else out
Just
there.
the cosmetic stuff. Yeah.
That's it. And I could not do cosmetics because I was in like a Medicaid practice, or like it was just I didn't have the patience for it. So I didn't invest in the cosmetics course because I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. But a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I'm taking an implant course. We should take it." They're like, "I've heard good things, blah blah blah." And then I'm like, "Oh, okay." And literally my customer journey was word of mouth. So I didn't even know about this person.
Mhm.
Then I like go to the website. I looked on there. I saw some of the testimonials. I'm like, okay. And then my friend's like, this would be good for us. We should do it. I'm like, okay. And then I talked to my wife about it. And then Neha's looking at me. She's like, 7 grand. She's like, you're gonna pay 7 grand. She's like, you can't even. She's like, you don't even make 7 grand like right now. Like I was like, okay, well, look. And then that's the whole thing. I'm like, well, if I invest in this now, we can do the payment plan. It's like $300 a month for 2 years, but I can at least make it back. And then so eventually she's like, yeah, go for it. And so it's just like, but what's funny is a practice that I was at did not actually let me do implants. I was in two practices, right? So yeah, and then one of them actually ended up getting let go from the practice because I had to go to take this course on a Saturday,
Mhm.
and I had given the owner a heads up before I got into the course, like, hey, this is going to be a couple Saturdays. And so I had an agreement where I was working some Saturdays. And then eventually he let me go. He's like, yeah, you took too many Saturdays off. And I'm like, dude, I told you I was going to a course
Mhm.
that you said I could implement at the practice to do implants because you had everything. But anyways, we could do a whole podcast on how I lost or left different jobs.
Yeah, 11
uh,
associateships. We could probably do one for each one.
yeah, but yeah, and then we ended up moving. We went to Austin. I was at a DSO. They were supportive. They had like a Nobel implant continuum. Literally in the first month, we were able to go and do like live implant. We did like you know, some basic training, and then we went in and actually placed on patients. And then after that is when I got my confidence, and then I started doing it.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, and it just goes to show, like, one, is it the right time in my career? Number two, can I actually start implementing the stuff that I'm doing from day one? Which is why it's so important. I think, like, as someone who works with a lot of clinic owners, if you're an associate and you're like thinking of taking a course, talk to your principal. Most of them are pretty cool, and they'll be like, "Oh, like I think you should take this course." Because even them as a principal, they might be thinking, "What cases can I start giving to my associate so
Mm-hmm.
I can do the cases I really want to do?" And they're not going to feel confident giving you those cases until you maybe show some initiative and say, hey doc, I want to work on these types of cases. I'm thinking of taking the CE course. Do you think I should take it? And more importantly, do you think you'll start feeding me some of those patients this way once I feel a little bit more comfortable? And I'll tell you right now, having worked with so many clinic owners, they'd be so happy if you said that to them. Like that's what they're looking for. They're looking for associates who will take ownership. And I think the beautiful thing about general dentistry is it's becoming more and more siloed. Sure, all of you guys can do a ton of different types of treatments, but I feel like the best practices are when you have like multiple dentists at this one clinic and they're all general dentists and they all like doing a specific type of thing. One guy might be
Mm-hmm.
like doing surgical cases, one person might be like a cosmetic person, and you have this like wide variety. So as a whole, that clinic is producing a lot because everyone's doing different types of cases. And then of course you refer out the big stuff to the specialists or the complex stuff to the specialist. But I think that's why it's so important to have these conversations. And I don't think there's any principal who'll be like, don't take that course. I'm not going to let you do that treatment. And if they do, great. Now you know maybe this isn't the place for me before I go and invest all this money.
Spoiler alert, they do that. But
And some
yes,
will. Yeah, absolutely. Some will.
but yeah, it's just conversation. It's the communication, and it's a really good way if you, especially if you have that open, honest, transparent conversation with the principal of like, hey, this is where I want to go. This is how I want to do it. They either may give you insight as to like some recommendations, awesome, or they may say, yeah, go for it. And then now all of a sudden you could almost create like your own little niche in the practice. Like I tell all doctors, you should be doing aligners. And then my message to the younger doctors is like, if you actually learn, like a lot of older doctors don't know how to do aligners. Like that is the gap. That is why the demand is so high and the supply is so low, is because this stuff has been gate kept for years. Only recently has there started to be more aligner education out there. Um, so middle-aged and younger doctors are starting to do it, but even then, it's still nowhere near the amount of actual, they're not meeting the demand. And so now if you're a young doc, you go in, principals, they're a business owner. They're trying to run a practice. They're not actually trying to like, some will are still in the clinical mind and they're trying to keep going, but some of them are like, the focus for the next 5 years is the business. And so for a young doc to come in and you interview and you're like, yeah, actually, I know how to do aligners. They're gonna be like, what? That's huge, because that from a business standpoint, really, really good ROI for them. And for the doc, you actually get to be part of your patient's transformations. And now all of a sudden, you are the go-to. So if you're worried about getting let go from the job or whatever, it's a lot more than just, it's a lot more than just being let go, because now all of a sudden you've built a very important part of the practice. So yeah, I just think it's a huge unlock for so many different reasons. And again, that's the aligner scenario. Like, I'm not saying it's not like that for implants. Like, you still always can go in and be that implant doc that's just crushing it, but that's just more common. Like, more people know how to do it. So you're not actually differentiating yourself that much. I think in the next couple of years, it's almost going to be like expected. Like, oh, can you actually do implants? Just because of how common it's becoming. But like, if you want to get ahead of the game, then it's aligners.
This might sound naive that I'm asking this, but like as a patient, I'm not a dentist, obviously. As a patient, I feel like aligners is just like when I talk to friends and family, it feels like everyone's using aligners, obviously, and you're using them well into adulthood, as your mouth and whatever changes. I have like cousins who are in their 40s who still use aligners and stuff, right? And most people are, what's the word I'm looking for? As a patient, they don't they don't actually listen to their doc, and they don't use the stuff, and they're, what's the word I'm looking for? They're
Compliant. They're not
compliant. They're not compliant, and so it's nice because like these people are just going to keep coming back because they need the treatment because they're not being compliant. But why is it that like, yeah, a lot of dentists aren't doing aligners? Because I tell all my like young associates, I'm like, hey, it's low hanging fruit. We as the patient want it. You might as well learn how to do it. Why do you think most people don't do it? Like, what am I missing here?
Yeah, you're you're missing the fact that we were never taught how to do it. So like, so every dentist, yeah, we go to dental school. No, you don't learn how to do everything. Aligners is one of the things you don't learn how to do. So imagine like, if you see a buddy that goes to dental school, however much your buddy knew about the procedure before they went into dental school is the same that they know after. So like, just as much about how to do the procedure as most dentists. But that doesn't mean you can't learn. It just means that there's a fear gap. And so this is what I've been like experiencing and seeing lately, is the fear gap on a dentist, which is essentially all the fear and unknown of doing this procedure. What can go wrong? What happens if I mess up? What should I do? What should I not do? That gap is so big that is what's preventing a lot of people from taking action. And so part of my content that I put out is to try to minimize that gap, by building trust, by sharing tips and expertise and all that. But it's crazy, man, because like, for any other niche, for any other procedure, there's always a fear gap for anything, for anybody. You buy a house, there's a fear gap. Like, I don't know how to do a mortgage. I don't know any of that stuff. Like, there's always the unknown, but you can overcome it pretty quickly. I think with this, it's because of the dynamic nature of the procedure. It's not a done in 30 minutes thing, right? Like, moving teeth takes like 6 to 8 months. So now you're okay. I'm like with this patient for a while. There's liability, like you are liable. And there's, in school, a lot of orthodontists, and even when you come out, have instilled this thing where it's like, yeah, you don't know what you're doing. You need to refer. Like, if you don't know how to move teeth, like, you should be referring. And it's like, if you don't know how to move teeth, you should learn how to move teeth. Like, these orthodontists also were taught. And I'm not saying like taking a course is going to turn you into an orthodontist. Like, you can take a course and learn how to do a procedure and learn how to do like a spectrum, right? A small spectrum of it. So yeah, man, I think the answer is like, more dentists aren't doing it because of fear. Like that's the biggest thing. Fear and lack of confidence. Like I have talked to hundreds of dentists through social media on calls. It's all the same. It's all the same. And it's like it's crazy because like I've also made content specifically answering their questions and put it out there. And even then, it's like it's still this fear. And that's when I'm like, okay, I get it. It's they want someone to have their back. They want someone to know that like, they got them in their corner. And so that's what we do. And it's like you can go the route of just watching the material and implementing because some people are like that and they don't, they're like gunslingers, like they'll just go and they'll figure it out. But a lot of dentists are hesitant, and I don't blame them because it's scary. But my message to everybody is like the craziest thing about teeth is if you move it too much, you can always move it back. Like you can always move it back.
They move real slow, so it's like you could catch it pretty early. Be like, okay, well, never mind. This one's moving not in the right direction before it has
Yeah.
like a major cosmetic, sort of.
Yeah, like so the worst thing that's ever happened is like this happened to my mentor and it happened to me and I was freaking out and then I talked to my mentor and they're like, "Oh, this happened to me, don't worry." We were trying to expand, the teeth. We're trying to move them laterally. Um and what ended up happening is there started to be gum recession on the teeth. And so that's what was visible. I'm like, "Oh crap, like this wow, we're moving this too much, too far." And
Mhm.
then so I messaged my mentor, and then they were like, "It's okay." And I was like, "Oh, what do I do?" And they're like, "Just stop the treatment, scan them, and then in the plan, just move the tooth back." And I was like, "That's it?" She's like, "Yep." And like the gums will come back. She's like, "Yep." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, that's like that's top. That's like one of the craziest things that can happen. There's other stuff like posterior open bites that a lot of people are afraid of. Um, Honestly, I made a video on it on YouTube. You could just look it up. Uh, there's only four ways it can happen, and there's only one of the ways that where it's like irreversible, but like you would have to be taking on like a major complex case for it to even happen. So there's a lot of flags that you could address before then. But yeah, it's
And I
it's really
think like that's the biggest thing is you're only supposed to do cases as a general dentist that you are comfortable with, that are quote unquote easy, low
mm-hmm.
hanging fruit. Because I've actually told like a lot of clients will come to me and they'll ask me, should I specialize? Should I not? And I've always said like you should specialize if you really, really love this thing. And if you're comfortable with long term only getting the complex and difficult cases. Because I'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you right now, all the general dentists are going to start doing your work, especially in ortho. It's like they're going to start doing this stuff over time. Sure, it might be slow, but they're all going to start doing liners. They're all going to start doing the, moving teeth. That's easy to do. So you need to be comfortable just doing the complex stuff, which is exactly what you just said. It's like, hey, if there's things that could go wrong in this, by doing a liner work, you probably shouldn't be taking those cases anyways. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you probably teach people which cases to accept and which ones not.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing is it's like I always compare it. I'm like, it's like endo, it's like root canals. A bunch of doctors do root canals, but they just don't do like second molars. Cool. It's like there's an equivalent to that in aligners. Like you can do aligners, but you just don't need to do the complex ones. Right. And that's where I see it as like a win-win-win for everybody. Like GPs win because they get to do a procedure that they never got to do before. They can make more money, have more fulfillment, get more time in their life. Orthodontist wins because they're getting more referrals because the more a GP talks about a procedure, the more patients are going to understand it and then actually go through with the treatment and get referred, right? You're casting a wider net. And then more patients win because all of a sudden they're getting this treatment that a lot of dentists just never told them they even qualified for. Um, so yeah, man, it's really cool to see happen. There have been older dentists that have been GPs kind of that have went on this mission. They didn't have the power of social media to leverage, and so uh, I'm thoroughly enjoying doing it, and it's super cool for me. Like the rewarding part is seeing a doctor go from like kind of down and out on dental to
Mm.
then like, oh my God, I love this. This is so much fun. Like a doctor, Dr. David Yu, he's in California. He got in the program. He was like, I don't know, like classic practice owner. He's like, oh, we're like updating the website. We're doing this. And I'm like, dude, the website's not going to get you more patients.
No, it's definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, buddy, that's not what we need to focus on.
Yeah.
We got off the call. I gave him some pointers. He was in the program at that point. The following week, he already had two case starts. And he was like, your course changed my life. He's like, I'm so excited. This is awesome. I'm like, wow, this is this is cool.
Yeah. And it's big, man. Like being able to expand your scope of practice and do different types of treatments is huge. Like it's massive. I have clients who come in and they're like, I'm starting out making 10 grand a month as an associate. And they take, even if it's not just your course, if it's a different course, they're like, oh, now I'm working the same hours, but I'm making 15. And then it's like, I'm getting better at that type of treatment. Now I'm making 20 and I'm still working the same hours. I've doubled my income for the rest of my life. And it's like, it just like, you got to jump and do the courses that you think are going to
Mm-hmm.
actually lead to the types of treatments that you want to do and whether they're doable in your actual practice. And that's why I'm like such a big believer in CE. And I think it's tough as a general dentist because I have other clients who have CE courses, and as a general dentist making a CE course is really tough because the specialists kind of all attack you. But if you're a specialist and you make a CE course, you're like loved because every general dentist is like, great, this person made a course for us. But then your specialist group starts to dislike you. And I think, like, I understand competition and all that stuff, but I do wish more people in dentistry are just like, hey, there's plenty of patients to go around. As long as everyone is like doing the treatments that they're comfortable with and still referring out the stuff that they're not comfortable with, everyone wins.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
I wanted to ask you about creating a course because I feel like you've done obviously done a really good job, and it has been a very short time period. Like 3 years is literally, it feels, obviously I'm sure to you you're like, this has felt like a lifetime, but it is a very short period of time relatively speaking. When you want to make a course, what would you say is like the first step for someone, whether they're a specialist, whether they're a general dentist? Do you start making the content first while you're still at your job to gauge interest? Do you start working on the course right away? How do you even go around like planning out what the modules are going to be? Like, where do you start with wanting to make a
Yeah.
course?
Yeah. No, this is good stuff. Yeah, basically you have to, I say first is like, is this like you need to do a self audit? Like, is this something that you actually enjoy? Is this something that has transformed you in some way? Like, it doesn't need to be massive, but like, did this have an impact on you? Right? Whether it's a core, whether it's a procedure, whether it's a workflow, a framework, or something. Like, did it actually impact you? And then I would say is, if it did and you enjoy, are you ready to like talk about it for the next 5 to 10 years
Mm.
and help other people? And if the answer is yes, again, now that's like cool. That checks the box of like you are able to kind of be consistent and be patient. Then I would say you should start helping people, like mentoring them for free. Like, don't even charge them and use them as basically just say, hey, I'm really passionate about this procedure. I want to help you through it. I'll coach you through it. The only thing I ask is like, if this helps you and you get some wins, I would just love a testimonial in return, and just do it for free and do it while you're still practicing. Coach them up. What that does, it's going to force you to create a curriculum, because you're going to have to now basically, you should have it defined. Who are you helping? Where are they at currently? And where are you going to take them? So that becomes the transformation. And what that does is that seeds and lays the foundation for your future messaging from a marketing and sales perspective, because you now know who you help. Hey, I help associate dentists who have little to no experience with um, talking to patients, and I help them, you know, whatever the result is, I help them gain the confidence to increase their case acceptance by 20%. And I have a framework on how to do it. And it's a step by step thing. First, we work on this, then we work on that, then we work on this. And that is now your curriculum.
Mhm.
So you can take that, you can teach it live, you can record a video and post it. You can make YouTube videos off of it. You can actually make that your course, right? Like there's different things you can do. But for the course aspect, um, once you have a curriculum, then all you need to do is just make sure that that is just like a step by step, like, hey, somebody can actually start here and go all the way to the bottom. Another way that you can kind of layer in is like actually write it out. Like, hey, if I actually didn't know what I was doing, what are the steps that I need to do in order? What are the checkpoints? And when you do that, that is now your course outline. And then you fill in the gaps with your expertise.
Mhm.
And as long as you can, anybody can make a course as long as you can solve a problem that at least one other person is experiencing. Obviously, if that problem is something that more people are experiencing, the better it's going to be. But as long as you can do that for one person, chances are there's hundreds of other people that are experiencing that problem.
Honestly, I think that's solid. That's like the perfect, yeah, ABCs on how to create a course. Now, I'm sure there's a ton of logistical stuff in there, like, okay, where to record, how to record, what to say in my recordings, where I should host all these recordings, like a million things. But I've actually wondered, have you ever thought about eventually helping other dentists create courses?
Oh yeah, that was the biggest distraction of my life in a good way. Like it's like I not a distraction in a bad way. It's literally passion. Like for me, dude, if I have success with something, the first thing I want to do is turn around and tell people about it. Um and that's kind of how this whole clear aligner education platform transpired. But yes, like as I saw the impact the course was having on dentists and what it was also doing for my life in the sense of like experiencing this other sense of fulfillment that I didn't know was there, which was this concept of like coaching and mentoring. Um, then I was like, oh my God, like I want to teach other people how to do this because I know other people know how to solve problems because there's so many gaps in problems in dental that a lot of dentists have like had to like get their battle scars through and like muscled through. And it's like, it can take forever to change dental schools, but it doesn't take that long for dentists to like put together courses and teach and share and mentor. It's just a matter of if you want to do it. But yes, I have thought about it of creating a program for dentists to teach them how to do it. Um, Unfortunately, I don't have the bandwidth to do that right now. But I do think in the future, you know, it could be something that I do or do with somebody. Because yeah, I think you cannot have enough educators. Just because I think about it like relatability, you know, like for the longest time, most dental educators were just white men, like
Mhm.
old white men. And now you've got like Dr. Necky, you've got me, right? You've just got these, you know, you've got Dr. Nick. Like you've
Gosh.
got you've got a bunch of these doctors who are now relatable to like you just got a bunch of non-white men who are like in the space, you know? And it's like, dude, like why not? Like I wish, you know what I mean? It's just it's cool because
Uh,
you can learn differently from different people and I think different perspectives go a long way.
Absolutely. And like, not to say, I don't want anyone to get mad at you for what you just said, because it's like, we still love the old white man course. Like, we still love it. It's
We
just
do.
nice to have that different bandwidth, or sorry, that different flavor of like, okay, someone's different view on how they communicate. Because a lot of the times the information might be the same. It's just how you message it and package it up. And it's like, we need that from different people. And more
Yeah.
importantly, it's nice to know you don't have to be practicing for 30 years before you can make a course. It's like, hey, I could start doing this now. And it's like, that's another part of this is like the people you just mentioned, like less to do with their race, they're young. Like Necky's young,
Yeah.
Nick's young, you're young. It's like, it's nice because now you can communicate in a way that helps them communicate to their patient. And I think that's even more important in like aligner treatment, so to speak. 'Cause it's like who you're communicating with is probably somewhere on that younger side of the spectrum as well. So you might need to
Yeah.
make analogies or metaphors or things like that that work with them or pitch it in a way that they make that they view it. And so it's like it's nice to have this diversity amongst who's creating courses, but also accessibility over how you can create a course and just like make it from your room. And like obviously if it's like not a clinical course, it's like you could just literally make half of the content through your bedroom on Zoom and then
Yeah.
post it on Kajabi or whatever it is that you want to post it on. It's like it's just so much more accessible to
I
create.
mean that's how I started. Like I literally started. It was just a Zoom. Like I actually recorded live coaching, like live training, like three doctors, and that was the course when I first launched it. Like the first thing you put out there does not have to be the thing. And then I was so self conscious about. I'm like, oh my god, like this is so basic. Like it's a Zoom recording. Like no one's gonna. It's like these basic slides. And then I texted one of the people that was in it, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like like I was apologizing to them after I like just taught. They were like, I didn't pay for like the quality of videos. Like I paid for the information and you delivered. So don't worry about it. I'm like, damn, okay.
Yeah, but I remember when I used to be at the bank, they used to talk a lot about an MVP or minimum viable product, and it's like
Mhm.
just put out the MVP, and it's like it's going to get better. It's
Yep.
the best way I could actually explain it to a lot of clients is anyone who's like putting off doing stuff like because they want it to be perfect. I'm like that's like not leaving your driveway until every light on the way to your destination turns green before you get there, and
Yeah.
it's like no, just like you might as well get on the road and you're going to hit some reds, but that's faster than waiting for everything to turn green. And it's like
It,
100%.
it's
Yeah.
true. And that's the thing is like we think sometimes like experience is like a time thing, but it's actually just did you go through the problem and do you have a solution that actually works? And like that can happen literally like who, for example, getting a job at an associateship. You want to learn from someone who got a job 30 years ago or someone who got a job last month? You know what I mean? Or 6 months ago, a year ago, whatever it is. But I think that's the thing is like there's no disrespect to the educators that are out there that are older white men.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of what you said of that, like it is the accessibility, it's the relatability. I mean, in a world where things are changing so fast, there's benefits to both perspectives. And I would actually encourage you to take both. Like I tell people, like just because you took my program does not mean you should be done with aligners. If you want to go deeper, go deeper.
Mhm.
You can go deeper with me, you can go deeper with somebody else. Like it and that's happened. Like doctors have been trained by some of the other educators, and they'll come to me and I'm like shocked. I'm like, you already learned from them. Why are you coming to me? And they're like, oh, like I love learning about this procedure and I want to learn your perspective. I'm like, cool.
100%. Because you can never learn too much. And actually, on that note, with respect to your courses right now, what's next for the clear aligner advisor? Are you going to actually just expand your offering, or are you actually going to start focusing maybe on one more than the other, like the individual versus the DSO? What's sort of next for you as Dr. Patel?
Yeah. So we are still very much supporting solo practicing doctors, so associates owners, essentially non-groups. So that is not going anywhere. If anything, we are probably going to start adding some like support team members. Currently, we've got orthodontists and GP that are helping me out on the case support. So we're pretty laser focused there. We've got the courses with or the video course with Liner Blueprint. Then we've got a Liner Launchpad where we add in like custom case reviews. So this way, as docs start cases, I kind of call that's like the level two. As you get cases going, chances are you want second set of eyes on it, and if you want some help, that's when we are able to actually review the case and give doctors the custom breakdown. So that's been nice. Then there's also some case acceptance training in there to really turn the dial up. And that's it. Like I don't think we're necessarily going to innovate too much more on that end. I think it's more just supporting the doctors that come through. And then also focusing on the group side. That one is the group side is it's probably going to be a slower growth. I mean, if it happens faster, great.
Mhm.
But it takes I'm building relationships from scratch. So it's fun, but yeah, we are slowly helping everybody. But the fact that it took me 3 years to get to this point to help solo GPs, like I'm very much like, cool. The DSO thing may take a while, and that's totally fine.
No, honestly, it's been wonderful to watch the growth from like, and again, I haven't been there from like day one. I haven't been there when you made your first video, but it's been cool to watch how much it's expanding. And it's funny, like I mean this respectfully. I like see your videos now and I just kind of scroll past it. Not because I'm like not wanting to see your content. I'm like, you post so often that I'm like, it's wonderful to just constantly see your face. I'm like, okay, I see what he's doing. All right, great. I'll move on to the next thing. And I feel like that only happens when you post a lot and you educate a lot and you just do a lot. Cause like you're constantly updating on like some new course that you're doing or some new sort of like deal that you have working on. And so it's like it's just nice to see. Cause I'm like, I remember seeing like when you first like left, it was really just like, hey, I'm Avi, I have this course. And now it's like you're that guy. You're like the aligner guy. So it's like it's cool to see, man. And I'm excited
That's
for what it'll actually turn into.
that's cool, man. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I feel like that's happened. I was like, oh, is there ever such thing as too much? But now I'm realizing like at the end of the day, like I'm gonna keep showing up. the one time that somebody stops to watch, if that's the time that, they needed to see that message or they found value, like that's the goal.
100%. Because consistency, it's being top of mind. And frankly, my whole feed is like teeth and like tooth content. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I just want to watch some memes. I don't want to see, I don't want to see someone's like, someone doing an implant case because that's what my whole feed is now. My algo is just, it's been ruined. It's just dentistry now. But I have to say, it's wonderful to see how much you're posting and how much you're doing and the growth that you've had in your career. So I'm excited for you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on. I always love the conversation and yeah, man, I appreciate it.